Hello, Vera. Hello, Irena. Hi, everyone. I would like to start by introducing Vera to my audience. Among our viewers are 20,000 Vera's followers, and the rest are my subscribers. Vera is neuropsychologist. She is an executive coach and at the same time an expert in rational mysticism. She can see much more than most people. I will tell you right away. I've been working with Vera for more than 2 years, and everything I know about Vera and what I'm telling you about her is not just something I believe in, but all of it has been proved by my experience over these past 2 years. Vera has helped me go through the most challenging period of my life, using various methods from family constellations, coaching, to completely unexplainable mystical things. So I have absolute confidence in Vera, and I'm delighted to host her on my platform. This is the first time I'm opening up on these delicate topics and unveiling you the side of me that was mostly hidden from a larger audience before, but has been a huge part of my life for the past several years. I know, Irena, how vulnerable you are feeling now, and I'm asking everyone to support Irena today, because it was me who approached her with an idea to do this live event. I had a feeling that many women needed to hear what I was going to talk about. Also, it is the first time I will be speaking in front of such a large audience about these complex concepts, and I'll try my best to be as straightforward as possible. Irena, I believe you wanted to mention my origin. Yes, thank you, Vera. My reporter skills faded a little due to the anxiety. I wanted to say that Vera was born in Ukraine. Vera's husband is from Kiev, Ukraine. And she has a lot of relatives and friends in Ukraine as well. It is essential on the one hand, but doesn't matter at all on the other hand. Because today we're not going to distinguish people based on their nationality, as Vera will be speaking about women all over the world. I wanted to mention Vera's background because I don't want people who are currently located in Ukraine to think that the atrocities happening there are not affecting Vera and are not causing excruciating pain to both of us. Yes, it is so painful that I might not even be able to hold my tears. We will be very open today in our total vulnerability, and I'll be speaking very candidly, as it is. It is saddening that we have to provide this caveat and disclose the national background and origin in the times we live in. Still, today I would like to talk about women overall. Not only Ukrainian women or Russian women, but women all over the world. All of us can see that the old world order, the way the world lived and operated, has collapsed. And this is happening globally. The world order is being destroyed, but life is not. Life keeps going on, and it is going to continue. The quality of life, however, depends totally on us. Is life going to continue a year from now? It also depends on us. And by us, I mean the women. The time of men, the time of male leadership, has come to an end. In fact, there has never been a time when male energy and leadership really dominated on our planet. A woman has just forgotten about her power and her role. I hope that your main takeaway from this live stream is, even though what is currently happening in the world is a horrible nightmare, we, the world, are actually witnessing the birth of a miracle. Almost 9 years ago, I faced death. I will not tell you how exactly that happened, as it doesn't matter at all right now. But when I came out of my body, faced death, and found myself in another space, I had an experience of knowing that the universe, not the world, but the universe, that the universe was pregnant. This feeling was incredibly strong and powerful. Just then, when I lived through it, when I felt and sensed the pregnant universe, I was returned back into my body and back to life. And for the past 9 years, I have lived with the feeling that the universe is pregnant. When I was able to interact with people again and resumed my therapy practice, I told my closest friends, clients, and people I worked with about it, that the universe was pregnant. Something significant was going to happen. Something was about to occur because something new was set to emerge. And I suggest we now discuss the metaphor of a pregnant woman. And let's imagine that the universe is a pregnant woman, the woman who is in labor right this moment. Women who gave birth are well aware of what it means to be in labor and what it means to have contractions. Around the same time, back in 2013, 2014, Maidan happened, and the world started seeing cataclysms and unusual events. Radical things began taking place, and this process matched the condition of the universe. Because when a woman gets pregnant, and in this case, the universe got pregnant, and it first starts with an explosion. At first, the woman is going through massive hormonal changes. She starts having mood swings. She doesn't understand what is happening with her and her body. The same thing happened with the world. It started shaking. Unbelievable convulsions began to shake it, and then 2020, which correlates with the 7th month of pregnancy. We'll consider each year after 2013 as 1 month of pregnancy. Every mother knows what it is to be 7 months pregnant. You become more and more limited in your movements. You can't run as easily, lay down on your back. It is more and more challenging and uncomfortable to sleep and move around. You are forced to adjust and do these things differently than you used to before. In a way, you are being immobilized and cannot move as much as before. And that's exactly what happened with the world. It had to stop, and it got paralyzed. And all of us got immobilized, the whole world. And then slowly the contractions started. Very, very, very slowly, and people started having a feeling that something else is going to happen. Everyone, absolutely everyone, had this sensation. People didn't have a feeling of relief after the pandemic ended. The tension was still there. There have also been a few strange, bizarre perceptions, illusions, and feelings about the future, such as they are going to implant microchips in our bodies, we're all going to be in digital slavery, and billion other hypotheses and variations of such fears. But at this moment, the pregnant universe is in labor. Now let's imagine this. Let's imagine a pregnant woman who doesn't know that she is pregnant. And let's assume that everyone else doesn't know she's pregnant either. But she is in labor. Let's just visualize this for a second. Irena, what could a woman who doesn't have any idea that she's pregnant feel and goes into labor? She's overwhelmed with excruciating pain. I don't know, most likely she would fall down every now and then in the hopes to ease the pain a little bit. And she doesn't understand what is happening with her. If she didn't know she had a baby inside of her, if she didn't know what was happening with her, she would go insane. She would have thought that she was dying. And she would have tried to understand the reasons why that was happening to her and wouldn't find them. Her mind would have thrown multiple reasons to her. But most certainly, the only thing that she would have felt throughout of this process is that she was losing her mind and dying. Because her whole body starts shifting, shaking, compressing. She's feeling horrible. She can't see clearly. And now imagine that people who are watching her, they don't know she's pregnant either. And all they see is her bulging eyes and how she's screaming from excruciating pain. What do you suppose they can think watching her? How many hypotheses do you think there can be about what is happening with her? Someone might say she has a stomach bug, that's why she's nauseous, right? Someone else may assume that she has cancer. Others can think she has epilepsy, and that's why she's suffocating without a reason. She's shaking uncontrollably. There can be billion assumptions about the reasons why she's in such a condition. And then unsolicited advice starts pouring in about what she needs to do at this moment, how she needs to behave, what she must do, whether she needs to take a pill or activated charcoal, or maybe an anti-epilepsy medication, or maybe a prescription for high blood pressure. Someone can suggest slapping her on her cheeks. But the reality is that no one understands what's happening with her. And do you know why I decided to tell more people about it? Why I decided to not only keep it inside of me anymore, and not only share with the closest friends, people, clients, bits of it so that they have at least some clarity. You know why? Because if the pregnant woman knew that what she was going through was because she was in labor, and as a result of this horrible pain would going to be a baby, it would have been much easier for her to endure it, wouldn't it? So now, if we, women, and everyone else understands what is happening with us, what is happening with the whole world, with the universe, it would be much easier for us all to live through this. And I don't want to touch on any political topics or material things, because I'm suggesting that you look at this situation from subtle layers, to take a look at what is happening right this moment. And I'll reiterate so that everyone gets it. The universe is in labor. The universe is giving birth as we speak, right now. And this is going to last for another 3-6 months. And during those 3-6 months, we have an opportunity, us women have an opportunity to do our part in this process by behaving and becoming a certain way to support the birth of that baby, so that this labor doesn't end with death, so that the woman in labor doesn't pass away during the labor and the baby is actually born. And the main mission of a woman nowadays is to support this woman in labor. And now let me give you another metaphor. Let's imagine the universe is giving birth. Let's not say the universe in this case, and let's imagine a woman in labor. She's having contractions, and she's surrounded by an enormous number of women with assumptions about what is going on with her at the moment. One of them says, "Put a pillow underneath her pelvis." Another one is screaming, "That jerk took advantage of her, who cares about that baby?" The third one is saying, No, breathe, just breathe now." Someone else is telling her, "Pull your legs up." The fifth one is suggesting, "Go into the bathtub and relax in warm water." The sixth one is insisting, "We must go to the doctor now." The seventh, "This is the kind of doctor she needs." The eighth one is saying, "Let's go to a different country and you give birth there." Can you imagine this chaos? The chaos of all these agitated women around her? How would you feel if you were in that woman's shoes? That woman who is in labor and who is surrounded by all of these distraught women. Someone else can add to the torment. "This is all your fault. You should have been more careful." One more person could say, "Look, she already has 4 kids. Why in the world is she having another one? Just to bring more poverty and unhappiness to this world?" Just imagine what a woman in labor can feel when she's surrounded by this uncontrolled, crazy hysteria of those who are not happy that she is giving birth or those who are trying to help her. What can be done, Vera? What are women supposed to do to support the woman in labor? You might have heard of doulas. I do not like the word doula because if you pronounce it in Russian, it suggests that she is there before. Do means before, comes first in Russian language. But if we disregard the name and just take the meaning into account, there are women out there that can just be next to the woman in labor. She doesn't do anything. She's not an OBGYN. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't make her breathe a certain way. She doesn't tell her to do anything. She's just there. She's just present. She's not calming others down. She's not screaming at them or vice versa, telling them to go help. She doesn't tell others, "Shame on you, why aren't you helping when I'm trying so hard to help?" She's as focused on the woman in labor as possible. She's totally in tune with the woman who is having contractions, and she's breathing together with her. Breathing is all she's doing. I was lucky. I had a woman like this present in the moment when I was giving birth to my child. All she was doing was just breathing. And during those moments when I felt that my pelvis was expanding, when I was in a lot of pain, when I was forgetting to breathe, I would remember about it thanks to that woman who was standing beside me and who was breathing next to me. And it might seem that she's not helping and not doing anything important, but if you think about it, in that lack of doing, there is actually so much of the inner doing. There are very few women now who can just be and live calmly through what is happening. Almost none. Almost every woman now knows exactly what to do and how to behave. Almost every woman is currently in a state of anxiety and hysteria because she wants to save this woman in labor. She wants to help her. She's scared for her. Some of them with their best intentions, others with not so much, but all of them want to do something about the woman in labor. Everyone is scared because of what's happening to her. Broadly speaking, we, women, have to become those women who can just be present at the labor and do nothing but breathe. We can just breathe. Although it is not as easy as it seems to do in that situation, who can feel the pain of the mother-to-be, the pain of the earth, the pain of the universe, and feel how terrible and hard it is for her right now. The woman in labor might be torn inside out. The labor can go in any direction. It can be very, very tough. But since there are a lot of us, we are the whole universe. This labor is especially hard. And it should be noted that this is a preterm birth. We, the people, stimulated the woman. We stimulated the labor. In 2020, when the pandemic first hit, people started discovering more about self-growth, values, feelings. And there was an illusion of a feeling that we might be able to unite. And we were all united by something big and important. And for a second, there was a possibility that this birth would go by a different scenario. But then it stopped, and people started forgetting what they have almost found. Once again, people returned to being selfish and wanting to segregate, and they got disconnected again. Therefore, now the universe is in preterm birth. It is not 9 months yet, and neither the woman, nor the baby, nor all of us are safe. But it is us who can support this process right at this moment. I have some bullets for today's live stream because this topic is very, very delicate. When a woman gives birth, she's covered in blood. She can even be covered in excrements. And she can even be covered in mucus. All kinds of disgusting things can be present during the labor. It is often scary, not pretty, and sometimes horrifying. What is happening with men when a woman is in labor? There are two types of men when it comes to their reaction to a woman in labor. Yes, they are very, very scared, it's true. But they're so scared because they don't know enough about it. Wouldn't you agree with it? They're so scared because they don't know and don't understand the process. But each of them is either one of two categories. First, there are men who don't care. His woman is in labor and he went out with his friends to celebrate. He's having a great time. He's drinking. He's going to have a miracle soon. He knows that something is going to emerge. But he's so scared, he's so unaware of what is happening that he has totally separated from the process. He's not there, he's not present. It's exactly what we can observe now is happening with some men. They act as if they are not feeling anything, as if nothing is happening. But it doesn't mean that they are bad people. They're just not able to feel this. It is their defense mechanism to not feel what is happening. Even if his woman asks him to follow her in labor, this type will say, "Never, I'm not going to survive this. I can't. Just can't. I'll faint. I'll die. I cannot be there." And just like this, there are some men who are currently acting this way and pretend there is nothing happening, and they celebrate. And there is a second type of men. Of course, there are more than two categories of men, but for the purpose of this conversation, we're only using two. So the second type of man chooses to be present during labor next to his woman. He supports her by serving her, by attending to her. He doesn't know what to do, but he is able to provide her with some comfort. He can bring her a basin if she is nauseous. He can wipe off the waters and other substances, and he can hold her hand. Yes, he can be very scared. He can even almost faint, but then he'll come back to her again because he realizes how important for her is the fact that he is there with her. And some men nowadays are doing just that. They serve. They serve the woman during labor. They are covered in blood and in excrements, but they choose to serve. What is fascinating is that nature only created a woman to be able to give birth. A man can never give birth. He's not able to because of his physique. And nature put a woman in a position that the woman is the keeper of the life itself. She's the creator of new life and its keeper. Life can only happen through a woman. It is impossible for a man, ever. So a woman is by default a pledge of peace, a pledge that life is going to continue. This is why women do not usually serve in the military. Yes, if she wants to, she can do that. For instance, women in Israel do serve, but it is an exception. As since of the beginning of time, it was not a woman's duty to serve in the army. Woman makes a house a home and keeps the fire going. She creates the cozy atmosphere. But I don't want you to confuse this with just having to scrub the floors, wash windows, and simply perform the duties of a maid. In essence, being responsible for the life of a home means creating and maintaining the space both on a physical and energetical level where life can happen. So woman, originally, if we're speaking in material terms, is not about an action. All the work and all of her actions are happening inside of her. And this is because she's keeping the specific state of being inside of her. She's feeling what's going on with her. She's feeling herself inside of her baby. She's feeling her children outside of her body. She is feeling her man, and she is feeling the whole world. All her actions are inside of her. They are not visible. Birth, it takes 9 months to carry a baby. 9 months. And then there is labor. To go through pain, to go through death. Because when a woman gives birth, she goes through death. Because the birth is the initiation. She can only give birth by dying first. Only after one surrenders to everything that is happening, she can give birth. Does it make sense? And the woman who is an impatient being gets a lesson from the nature itself. She has to wait. Nature understands that woman is chaos. Nature gives woman a lesson of patience. As she cannot give birth before she carries the baby for 9 months, she cannot just decide to give birth in 2 months or 4 months. She is being taught a virtue of patience. She is required to learn to be comfortable with what's going on. Can you imagine how much inner work, how many things she needs to do on the inside so that she can be at peace with what's there? Irena, are we on track? I'm slightly worried that some people, including myself, are looking forward to clearer instructions. It was quite straightforward when you talked about the state of mind and emotions, that it is essential for any woman who is giving birth and who is supporting the woman who is in labor to keep the right state of being. And it would be great to learn what exactly that state of being is supposed to be. Because clearly all of us is currently at completely different states. If you read comments under any Instagram post or any other social media post right now, you would see so many different emotional and mental states, and they're sure not going to support anyone, not only in labor, but even in ordinary life. How to come back to the right state of mind and feeling, and therefore help your loved ones, a man who is next to you, and the universe overall. Let's talk about this. What is happening with a woman who cannot hold the right state of being? She becomes aggressive. The woman starts being aggressive and hysterical, and she starts blaming everyone and anyone. And when she is in that aggressive state, she becomes utmost cruel. Just imagine or remember if you've ever seen the girls fight. I've seen it. And I have to say, I haven't seen anything more brutal or merciless than the women's fight. How a woman can beat another woman, how she can kill another woman, rape another woman. And men are fighting so that the women stop. Men are fighting and dying, and it's scary, but this is the only thing that can stop a woman. When she sees that there is no man left, the woman is extremely intense and furious when she is in this state of hysteria, and when she starts doing something in this condition, she does it based on her emotions rather than feelings. Emotions, not the feelings. And it makes her kill through men's hands. She calls for it and encourages more aggression because she cannot calm herself down and calm her hysteria, her agitation, and anxiety. Let's cover the topic of tools we can use. I can go on for hours about what is happening right now, and although it will also make it clear what to do next, but I realize that your audience would like to hear about the solutions. Am I right? Yes, my feeling is that they would, because it is something I want to hear as well. All right, let's talk about the solutions. Let's once again summarize that the most powerful thing that a woman can do nowadays is do nothing. And this lack of action comes from her wise part. It is just an external inactivity that comes from her wisdom, because at this stage it is not clear. Because any energy, positive or negative, is seeking to possess a woman and use her to create or destroy anything. And the reason for it is that the woman is holding the world in her hands. A man wouldn't be so aggressive if the woman was in the state of calm. We can come up with as many logical explanations and facts as we want, but it doesn't work this way anymore. The only things that are working now are feelings, states of being. And these feelings are separate from emotions. When a woman is overwhelmed with emotions, she becomes destructive. The best thing a woman can do now is do nothing, out of the state of calm wisdom. Is this clear, or is there a need to talk about it some more? I'm now thinking about the women who are feeling hatred, and they do have a reason to feel those strong emotions. How can one not feel that? Is it a feeling or an emotion? It's an emotion. Because when a woman's focus is not on her inner world, but outside of it, she begins to experience an emotion. When her focus is inside of her, she is facing the true feelings. Everything external is emotional. And these emotional things are based on facts and logic, based on something that is impossible to feel. These are all methods of control, special tools. And even when a woman finds herself in situations when there is blood everywhere, everything is falling apart, and it's total chaos, if she's crystal clear about the fact that if she falls into her emotions, she would make a mess, she would be able to stop. Because a woman taken by emotions can make a huge mess. She's terribly destructive at that moment. And she brings destruction. Her aura starts causing the destruction. When you're asking me, how can they not feel the hatred? You're suggesting that I start focusing on the external and say, look what is happening out there. This is why I feel what I feel. Is that what you're suggesting? The reason why this horror is happening on the outside these days is because a woman has the same happening on the inside. Because a woman carries so much aggression inside of her. Only a woman can truly feel the love. A man is not capable of creating the world. He is not capable of creating the life. If a woman keeps saying, I have the right to feel this aggression, I'm right when I'm feeling it, then the only thing she is right is in not creating the life, in inability to create the life out of love. Even in the most horrible situations, in the awful chaos, If a woman is not able to create life out of love, nobody is. A woman may not be driven by anything external, outside of her, because everything she hears is not true. The information is always ambiguous, and information is contradictory. A woman is like a cat. A cat doesn't need explanations. It can feel when it's time to move and when it's time to stop. It would sniff, it would feel, it would take its time slowly. This is exactly what a woman needs nowadays. At a certain moment, it is possible that all she needs is to just stop. Slow down, start moving only based on what she's feeling, despite of what is happening. The world is already in this strange state. We're already here. It is absolutely senseless to fight this right now. Be aggressive or try to find anyone to blame. There is no point for any woman right now in searching for reasons, blaming men or blaming other women. It is not going to bring us anywhere. We just need to face it. This isn't working right now. Being a woman means knowing how to feel. Being a woman doesn't mean wearing a pink dress and living in the world of unicorns and rainbows. Being a woman means knowing how to feel and being driven by feelings versus emotions. It means non-linear thinking, illogical thinking. It is a man who is thinking logically, strategically. A man says, look, A and B, and here's C, and then there is D and E. A man craves structure, algorithm. And when a woman gets taken away by it, when she gives in and is driven by this structure, algorithm, she becomes farther away from her nature, from her essence, and from her true feeling. And the woman becomes a logical creature. She starts thinking that she's right. She's not happy, but she's right. She's right and knows what's happening. But if she chooses peace instead of being right, she'll understand that she's the one who is able to create life and create peace, and that the state of being she is in right now will determine whether there is going to be peace within a meter around her or not. And if she has a strong energy, strong aura, and she can influence immensely, she is able to instill peace for the whole kilometer around her by her inner steadiness. That's why there are some women in Ukraine that are staying there and not running anywhere. They're staying there because they're strong enough to take it, strong enough to cope with it. Yes, they can also become aggressive at times. We're all humans, so they can be aggressive, but they also find the space inside of them that is filled with love and that helps them stay strong in those horrible conditions and go through it with the inner calm. A woman is not a linear creature, a logical creature. If she wants to change the world, if she wants to influence, if she wants the life to go on, she needs to start feeling again, being in contact with her true self. But the only time she is able to be in that state of being, in the state of feeling the world, nature, is when she is not emotional and not logical. Irena, I'm offering this to you as a very powerful tool. Here, take it. And this is not something a woman has to learn. She has simply forgotten about this ability. She needs to remember that she is wired this way. And the world has been shaking her for this reason. The world says, look, in 2020 you were all so logical, you developed the maps and structures, everything was so clear and logical. But look, it doesn't work. All your logic, all your plans and plots, they don't work. Men are currently trying to rebuild the world. They are constantly thinking who to negotiate with, who to call, what to close, what to open, what to deprive of, and many other strategies. And they rule because, unfortunately, they've been the ones who ruled the world, and the logic has been ruling the world. But we're forgetting that this is only an illusion. It's only illusion that logic is ruling the world. We can see that the logic doesn't stand the test. Because of this logic, everything is falling apart. And it is incredibly important for a woman to start feeling that if she wants this world to keep going, doesn't matter who, where, which boundaries or which currencies, it all doesn't matter. If she wants this world to stand, she needs to come back to life herself. She needs to learn to cope with it. She needs to learn how to endure. She needs to learn to love everything that is happening. It doesn't mean she needs to start kissing strangers all of a sudden, but it means she must find her inner strength to not respond aggressively to an act of aggression. She must stop cultivating and procreating this. Ability to give birth is unique for a woman, and she's always doing it. She's always giving birth to something, procreating fruit, so to speak, and men are harvesting it and consuming those fruits. Being an influencer with a large audience, I receive enormous amount of direct messages every day from early morning till night, and I would like to point out that Vera and I are not talking just about Ukrainian women when we talk about the aggression, and neither are we talking about the Russian women. We're talking about women all over the world. Some of them have become awfully ferocious and are losing their minds. People are sending me messages from different countries, Russian women among them. These Russian women seem to be completely barbaric, extremely merciless, although they are not the ones whose home is being physically destroyed by bombs. But the most cruel and frightful messages about what I'm doing wrong and how I should or shouldn't live, etc., are coming my way from all over the world. And it's obvious to me that such a strong reaction from women to this conflict has made it even worse on subtle layers. Yes, you're absolutely right. When we're talking about the aggression, we don't mean anyone specific. We're talking about every woman, because the aggression does take place, and that aggression is directed on women. For instance, I receive a lot of negative, very cruel messages from the Ukrainian women, some of them my close friends. But at the same time, women in other parts of the world say, American women, German women, British women, they're being aggressive towards their men. They can scream on their husbands. They can beat their kids. They are losing it in front of their kids. A child may be feeling something and going through some serious process, but instead of trying to understand him, his mother starts yelling at him. She's his mom, but she's losing it because she has this unbearable burden inside of her. The seeds of this aggression are not being spread by men. They are being spread by women. And the woman cannot stop. She's not able to start feeling. She's bulldozing her way forward. She's dashing. She's running somewhere. Where is she running and why is she doing that? Considering that the only direction she needs to think about is in her inner self. A woman must always immerse in her essence, and instead of doing that, she's rushing, she's running to the barricades. And that is why she's falling down, and that is why she's smashing her own face. You know, it is only now that I realized that you've been talking about the aggression overall, not just the aggression due to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. That you've been talking about aggression in any form, at work, in relationships, with kids, etc. I can see it everywhere here. I'm currently in Thailand, soon will be back in Moscow, and here in Thailand I sometimes observe horrendous scenes of how moms scream at their kids at the beach. It is simply impossible to watch. So horrific. You're so right about it. Right on target. Because this is an incredibly sensitive topic. Okay, let's once again say that the universe is in labor, and the part of her body that is involved in that process is Russia and Ukraine. But they are in two different parts of it. The part where there is more blood and horror, where the uterus is simply blowing apart, that part is Ukraine right now. Ukraine is currently the uterus. But the whole situation is that part of the body. The rest of the body cannot not feel it. I don't know, maybe the USA is the head. I haven't thought about it. But what is obvious is that the whole body of the woman in labor is shaking and is in distress. It is possible that her eyes are not in so much pain as the uterus that is contracting with an enormous speed, and they're just slightly bulging and are sore. But make no mistake, the whole world has drowned in an aggression. Every woman has become aggressive. It is women who encourage their men to do something with other women. It is women who push and persuade men to kill, squelch, crush, deprive of stuff, and men do execute it. You see? I'm not even talking about those women who are currently in that uterus. I'm talking about the women everywhere. What do you think is happening with the children nowadays? Why does a woman need to be facing such a horror to remember that she can be gentle and sweet with her child? I would like to give you some more practical tips. The only way a woman can move forward and do something is if she can read signs. The signs are the only things she can hold on to. Not the logic, not the facts, but she can start interpreting the signs. but that can only happen when she is in contact with herself. Look, some women are now saying, when it pertains to Russia, I'm from Russia, yes. I was born in Donetsk. My husband is from Ukraine. Our relatives are in Ukraine, but I'm currently residing in Russia. And everyone around me is screaming, leave, go, escape. And the woman then trying to direct her sight inside of her. And yes, she did taken away by these emotions, but she's stopping and trying to figure out what she's currently feeling. If she starts doing something while she's so emotional, she's going to crash. She's going to fall and she would crash her whole family who is running with her, including her children. Because her inner voice is telling her, stay here, you're needed here. This is your place of strength. This is the place where you can generate peace, even though everything around you is falling apart. Your soil, your support, your inner calm are all here. It is essential that you stay here. It means this is the place where I can be resourceful and whole as a woman. But if you don't feel in contact with your inner self, if you don't feel resourceful and whole, and you feel that the emotional swings have taken over you, escape from Ukraine. Run from Russia. Run anywhere you want. No one will judge you for your decision to run away. A wise person will not judge you, but a crazy, hysterical, agitated woman will destroy you. And it doesn't matter where you are. You know what I mean? There is no place to run. We can't run away from this world. There will always be outbreaks of aggression everywhere you look. And if we can't put out this fire right here, then the whole world will break apart. It is a mere illusion to think that there are friends and enemies in this conflict. It is not like that at all. The Iron Curtain and death of people in the epicenter of this conflict are not even the scariest thing of this whole situation. What is the most terrifying is that the whole planet might die and there will be no life. There will be no winners or losers. There will be no one left. There is no point in achieving a victory on a certain territory because if a person has cancer, the person dies. His whole body dies. You can't say, okay, at least his nails are healthy. It doesn't work that way. Or at least it is not too bad in Switzerland or France or elsewhere. It's not true. It's impossible. Take a look inside. You are a woman. Take a look inside. Get connected with your inner self and feel. Where can you be the most efficient? Where is that place where you can generate love and give support? Have made yourself stronger and more powerful? Do you have personal strength? To find that out. Quiz yourself. Do you scream at your child? That's how you can find out whether you have the personal strength or not. Here's the simplest and very powerful tool for a woman. Or do you scream at your husband if you don't have kids? Or at your husband? Or if you don't have a husband, do you scream at your mom, your dad, or anyone else? Just see, can you change the world if you can't even find a way to communicate with your child and you're screaming at her? If you can't find a way to communicate with your parent, you get carried away? Why did we all immerse ourselves in psychological studies? I remember this new wave in 2014, when everyone started to become fond of psychology and esoteric teachings. Now there is a lot of skepticism around it. Why? Because it is not very practical. Okay, you were able to memorize that there are chakras and that you can turn them. Now what? You know that there is first and second chakra. Now what? You know that this chakra on your throat is blue and that chakra is green. But you were studying psychology, psychoanalysis, coaching, constellations, tarot, anything. Now it's time to bring it to the world. Now it's the time to bring your knowledge to life and practice it. You are a woman. You lead the women. You heal. You support. Do this right now. Practice it. Find strength not to kill your child with your anger, not to yell at him, not to slap them. Find strength in you not to drive your husband crazy just because you're having a period. And by the way, learn how to stay calm during your period. Stop using it as an excuse. I have a PMS and that's why I'm screaming at everyone. There are so many excuses out there that justify the aggression. So many rightful explanations. You're not listening to me, that's why I'm screaming at you. I have period, that's why I'm screaming at you. There is a war. I'm scared, and that's why I'm screaming at you. I used to love you. You're my friend, my relative. But now I hate you because, just because. You see, there's always some kind of justification for it. But it doesn't work like that anymore. We're not going to stay alive, as the woman in labor will die if we keep going like that. When I talk about the signs, I mean that a woman can rely only on the signs. Similar to a cat, she sees a sign, she stops, interprets it, and then goes on. This is the only state of being in which you're able to avoid stepping on a bomb if you're on a bomb field, in which you're able to avoid a bullet. This is the only state of being in which you're able to do what is right for you. And here you are, the signs. Take tarot cards, take metaphoric cards. If you're a woman who is not able to interpret the signs of nature, if you're a woman who has forgotten how to read, feel the life, and you need logic, now is the time you must try to learn what you're feeling and distinguish it from your emotions. If she cannot see a bird flying, similar to the Native American women, they can interpret if a bird flew this way or the other way. They can interpret what it means if the water flows certain direction. They can interpret animals and birds' behavior. If a woman is not capable of interpreting those signs and things, if she is not in harmony and in contact with the elements inside of her, water, blood, fire, she is not in contact. She cannot interpret the world around her. She cannot, so to speak, shamanize. Then she can take some material things. For example, she can open a book, read an abstract, and use it as a sign. Try to communicate with her inner self like this. Use a metaphoric card. Take any card tarot. You don't need logic. You don't need algorithm these days. There is no need in learning the tarot algorithms either. Just pull out a card. You're scared? You don't know what to do? Then pull out a card and read it. Or you can approach a tree and get grounded. You can still do that. You still have this opportunity because we still have this planet. For now, we still have this earth. Touch the ground with your hands. Take a breath in and breathe out. Get connected with the ground. The earth feels everything that we are feeling. And the only thing we're doing with it is picking and exploiting its natural resources. It is being polluted and abused constantly. And it is still fertile. It is still giving us fruit. The earth can teach a woman something that woman has forgotten about. I would like to raise a topic we touched upon yesterday about the situation in my family. All of us sensed a lot of tension, lots of arguments and disputes. And when I talked to you about it, you told me that my family and I were not arguing about what we thought we were arguing. You told me that the reason of our fight is that we are all on different sides of this conflict. And I'll be very straightforward now, and will say roughly, part of our family was for Ukraine and another part for Russia. And you told me that we were holding these different positions, but we never talked this through, and this is why we were arguing, although on the surface it seemed like something else. And my family members would give me so many logical reasons why it is how it is, and why the conflict is justified. NATO, this, that, and the other, geopolitics, etc. And they would bring so many logical reasons. And as you told me, you, Irena, do not want to hear the logic because your inner feeling is telling you that something is off, that what's happening is not fair, and that is why you cannot agree with the logic here. Long story short, due to this, my family and I had such a serious clash yesterday that at some point I just wanted to stay alone. Vera, could you please tell us what to do when something like this happens? For example, when people in the same family, in a couple, are taking different sides in a conflict like this and are not in agreement. First thing that everyone right now is struggling with is accept an alternative viewpoint. Accept the position of the other person with love. We are not supposed to share the same opinion, and this is the only way we can be together. And who is right, who is wrong, and accept the differences. It shouldn't matter what side you're on. Once again, because it is not about logic, but it is about what I am feeling, something very important and alive, and something that is undeniable truth for me. But it doesn't have to become the reason I can start hating you for your truth and for what you believe in. Or let's have a divorce. If you think about it, Because of this conflict, mothers don't talk with their children, children refuse to talk to their parents. Husbands are fighting wives, and on the surface it might seem to have a different reason, something external, but everyone, absolutely everyone, has their own opinion about the conflict. And since the majority of families avoid recognizing and vocalizing where they stand with respect to it, they come up with these artificial fights and arguments. What is very important for a woman when she is in labor? Ideally, when her man, is beside her. He might be very scared and he can understand nothing of the process, but they are together. They are together despite anything. They are together despite their differences. We are together, although you like papaya and I hate papaya. Let's use this example instead of a war. And let's use this example rather than who is right or who is wrong. You like this thing, but I don't like it at all. But this is not the solution. And if you and I are starting to fight who is right and who is wrong, I'm talking from subtle layers right now. The only thing that it would lead us to is destruction. And what can happen if we stay in context of I love you? My husband is going through a very hard time these days. He is extremely worried, and there are many people in Ukraine that he loves and that are close to his heart. And these people, they hate Russians right now. His best friend's family would not even pick up the phone when he called and just sent messages blaming him for not striking or going aggressively against Russians. But he hasn't been living in Russia for that long. He is now on the territory of Russia. Let's not talk about the feelings of people who are currently in Ukraine. Let's not talk too much about it. I'm just saying that he knows that being where she is and going through what she does, she hates him. She doesn't want to hear the Russian language. She is in horror. But his love for her is so profound that he finds the strength in him to call her and tell her, I want you to know that I love you very much. I love you despite everything. And she finds the strength in her too, suddenly, to talk to him and find space inside of her that loves him, despite all the terror that is going on outside. It is incredible when a woman can find space of love inside of her and at the same time is able to feel everything else simultaneously. As a woman, right now, I can feel the horror of what the world is going through, and simultaneously, I can feel what is happening above, what is happening in subtle layers, that a new life is being birthed. And at this moment, I cannot allow myself to tell me, okay, it doesn't matter that my friends are in pain. I shouldn't care as much that those people who I care for are in distress. We are segregated to a point where everyone is either right or wrong. And I can feel the subtle layer. I realize that the universe is in labor, and on the one hand, I can say, why do I care? Okay, the universe is in labor. Okay, these people are going to die, and then those people are going to die too. No, I can't do that. I can see the subtle layer. I can feel the sky, and at the same time, I also feel the bottom of the earth, and I feel everything that is happening down there as well. And this is a woman in me. The woman is capable of feeling everything. On the one hand, she can feel what's happening outside, and on the other hand, at the same time, she can feel everything that the woman who is currently in labor is feeling. At this time, a woman is representing unity. If she is able to combine her darkness and her light, she is going to be able to transfer this state of being to a man. And that's where the actions are going to arise. Out of this state of being, it is impossible to only feel the bright side of things and not to feel the opposite. And that is why it is a combination of light and darkness, the upper and the lower levels, the top and the bottom. We are all adepts of esoteric, aren't we? The reason I'm calling myself a mystic is because the things that I'm telling you about can be utilized, can be practiced, unlike the esoterics that don't offer practical solutions. And let every woman discover a mystic within, a real, rational mystic. Because there are some things that are real and rational, and there are things that I'm feeling. And let a woman combine the sky and the earth, logic and spirit, male and female, and find a space inside of her heart where it can take place, where it can happen. Do I understand this correctly, that each of us has now a task? Say, if I go outside and be rude to anyone, for example, if I'm irritated at a driver who accidentally takes me to the wrong place, or who wrecked or anything else, I should find a way to calmly speak to him and not be rude. Or if my child comes in and starts saying nonsense or doing something he's not supposed to do, I will find a way to control myself and not yell at him. Is this the task you're giving us all? I will find a place within, the foundation from which I can endure this. I can cope with it, and I can withstand this. The woman nowadays must remember that she is able to see something that others cannot see. She can see the things that are hidden from the surface. The woman can feel what others cannot, what others are embarrassed to feel. Some women want to be strong and they don't accept weaknesses in them. The others want to be weak and are dreading the situations where she needs to show strength. The time came when all of this has to be combined in a woman. It is the woman who can be more open. This is not something a man can do, because it is against his nature and structure. The woman can be the one who can open up, and it is incredibly hard for a woman to keep her eyes closed, and it is almost impossible for her to pretend she can't see what's happening. But to feel it, to take it in, and to find a place inside of me where I can endure it and live through it, I can accept everything. Because the life, the earth are accepting everything. Each one of us has done so much in their life. Each of us has betrayed, each of us has caused pain to someone else, each of us has been very cruel to herself and to others. So we just can't speak about what's fair, who is right and who is wrong, because we have to see it all inside of us. We are able to see it all and hug it all, like a woman in labor. Find the strength to hug and accept it all. Find the strength to endure it all. Vera, there is one more important thing I would like us to touch on so that this information gets to as many people as possible. I can imagine that influencers, bloggers, and other people with large audiences, with blogs on Instagram and YouTube, might feel a little confused and don't understand how to go on, what to post about, and how to adjust their content. There might be others who, on the contrary, are confident and know exactly what to say. They chose a side and are using their platform to call for action. What would you recommend to women influencers with large audiences? What can they talk about? What can they broadcast? First and foremost, I would say the most important thing is to look into this. Do I have the right to broadcast anything? And the only time I do have the right to do that is when I'm not destroying my loved ones with my deeds and actions. Right now, those who are right here, next to my shoulder, these people who are right beside me, and if I can be certain that I'm not destroying them, that I'm not driving my husband crazy, or am not doing this to my child or my parent. And this is exactly why we all went to therapy, took so many classes, did so many other things for our personal growth. So if I'm certain I'm not doing that, then I have the right to broadcast my state of being. I remember the brothers Strugatsky had it in one of their books. The deeds and actions are now more important than ever, and you can be doing something very important. This is exactly right. The actions are very important, but more important is what state of being you are at while doing them. If a little girl is selling bracelets or rings and she does it from the state of love and mindful happiness, this state of being and calm is translated through that ring. Then she's creating a kind deed. In a sense, that is right for her, because her kindness and evil are different from someone else's kindness and evil. These things are not the absolute truth or law. They are different for everyone. Again, I'd like to cite the Strugatsky brothers, Russian science fiction authors. Deeds are to be worshipped, not statues. And maybe even deeds do not need to be worshipped, because everyone does what they can. One makes a revolution, the other a whistle. Maybe I only have enough strength for one whistle. So what am I? Not worthy? And if you are not congruent with this, or in other words, you do not conform with something you are translating, then you better don't do it. One of the reasons the world is in the situation like this is because there is a lot of discrepancy, lack of conformity. And I would suggest we talk about it using the material examples. The price does not match the value. A house can cost 1,000,000. A bag can cost gazillion. I'm not against these bags, but the fact is everything is overpriced and everything is not according to its essence. And I always say everything there is and everything that happens is in accordance and in conformity with the essence. And now we live at times when the essence comes to the surface. It doesn't matter at all. The material objects do not matter at all. What matters is what it is I am translating, what comes out of my interactions with anything or anyone, and then what happens next with that person or situation that I have just interacted with. What is it that I'm bringing to this world? The universe cares a lot about the baby she's about to give birth to, and it wants it to live. So if you are not in unison with the universe, it would eliminate you. It would eliminate you by taking away the money, by taking away the audience, by taking away anything else. And all of it because the universe is wise. And although we do have an ability to influence and affect the course of events, but it can influence and affect as well. And if anything isn't resonating with it, it has the ability to liquidate it. As I said, I can go on and on about this topic. I can start going into details, but please tell me, Irena, do you feel that you've received some practical tips that you could apply in your everyday life? Would you like me to reopen the comments and see if people have any questions? No? Is it scary? Okay, let's not. Tell me, Irena. Let's do it. Let's respond to questions. I think it will be the right thing to do. Everything else we are able to take in. Blood and excrements we are able to endure. Irena, I'm so happy to hear this. I'm really happy to see that you have found strength in you during this live stream. Here's a good question. Who will be born? Will it? The question is not who will be born. The question is, will it be born at all? Will we all be able to create an environment that the baby is able to come to the world? What will happen in 5 years? How can we find words for our loved ones who are now in Ukraine? First, find those words for yourself. Find a state of calm inside of you first. What I'm trying to tell you is the words mean nothing in this situation. What matters is the state of being. A woman is able to influence through her state of being. She can say the words of love, but there is no love inside of her, just aggression and anger. She says, I love, and that's why I'm throwing rocks at you now. I love something mine, and that's why I'm about to kill you right now. And that's why I'm about to squash you. So first, tell the words of support to yourself and bring yourself to the state of calm. If you are not finding yourself in the state of balance and are all shaky yourself, you won't be able to find words of support. The words are born from the core, from the essence. If there is substance, essence inside of you, you will be able to support anyone and talk to anyone. Both my husband and I are having conversations with everyone, with people from all countries and all cities. We have a lot of people we are interacting now with. Yes, yes. Can you, Vera, say that you're currently in a state of inner calm? Most certainly, yes. Can you elaborate similar to how you did during our yesterday's conversation? If you remember, I asked you the same question yesterday, and you told me how you managed to do that. Yes, happy to elaborate. Being in a state of inner calm, when you have a connection with the serenity in you and your core, doesn't mean you becoming sensitive to everything else and are always in that state of being. You have just witnessed the tears in my eyes when I started feeling incredible pain. The crucial part here is what you are going to do with this. I mean, if you feel that you've lost it, lost the calmness, just stop. Stop and bring it back to you. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness doesn't mean that a person is enlightened once and for all, and that's it. They're always enlightened. The world is always changing. Everything is evolving. People, happenings. We're all humans. We're all alive. Actually, not all of us is alive. Some of us are already dead, although they do exist in a seemingly functioning body. So, as humans, we feel things, we react to things. And if you are feeling that you're not in balance anymore and you started doing something out of your emotions, you're running somewhere, short of breath, you're bustling and finding yourself in a whirlwind of things, then most likely you have lost the connection with your core. It doesn't feel right, and you need to stop and breathe. Note how many times during today's live stream I have said this: stop and take a breath. Stop. Make a mental note that you're not in a state of inner calm anymore. I'm reacting. Go back to the state of inner calm. Your ability to go back to your core every time you got knocked out of it is the best proof and display of your mastery, your mindfulness, and your enlightenment. Back down, come back. Back down, come back. You can't be in stagnation. You're not dead. Everything is in constant motion. When I say you have to master the state of inner calm, I mean you have to be able to quickly return to it. Came out, came back. Came out, came back. Finding the balance and losing the balance. Finding it and losing it again. I was listening to Marina Galan, a coach, business trainer, and an incredibly strong woman. She is based in Mexico. She used a phenomenal metaphor. When we walk, we constantly lose our balance. When we're raising from sofa, we're not stable for a moment, but then we regain the composure and we stand up. Then we need to start walking. So we're holding on one leg, and while we pull up the other leg, we do lose the equilibrium again. We lose balance all the time. Each time we want to reach steadiness, we need to first lose it for a moment. If our goal is to always keep balance, composure, then we're not able to move and progress, because a prerequisite for movement is constant loss of balance. For life to present itself, death comes first. We're always moving from one extreme to another, but the idea is that we shouldn't stay in one side of the spectrum. We keep being mobile and adaptable. Say you lost your calm, then got it back right away. If I'm going to tell you I'm in the state of calm even if I have to witness beatings, killings, and I have to see the falling bombs and kids dying, and then after all of this, if I'm telling you that I am in Zen and I have my calm, then it doesn't mean I am in balance. It means my heart is dead. You see? Giving it space, feeling it all, simultaneously taking it in, being mindful about everything, allowing it all to happen, experiencing it all and facing it. That's what it means, finding your calm. Encounter, let it be, and endure. Lose the balance and regain it. Right back. Have I answered your question? Yes, there is a question. What can we do to find our calm back when we lost it? First, breathe. This is the first thing you can do, because when you're losing your calm, you're breathing like this. When we fuss or bustle, or our breath becomes like this, a woman at some point can start breathing like this, but she will eventually get tired, or she would stop breathing at all. I just wanted to say that. It is one extreme to breathe like that and run, and another extreme is to freeze and not breathe at all, meaning not to just take a breather, a pause between breathing in and out, but rather freeze and definitely not breathe. Breathing is the first and the easiest thing you can do. Just breathe, breathe. The second thing you can do is observe. And when you do that, paradoxically enough, you will notice that the life is actually happening. You can notice that the sun is shining and the leaf is moving. Would it bring you purpose to go to the war zone or running somewhere and escaping bring the most meaning to your life right now? Only you can be the one who can find your own purpose. Keep looking for them. And after you find them, use everything that you can. Do yoga. You can still do yoga. You can even do yoga in places where you think it's not possible to do yoga anymore. Do breathing exercises. Meditate. Pray. Create your own prayers. You have plenty of things and tools to use. You just need to want to do it. What's the most important here is that you step out of the struggle and choose the life. I can't see a single question. Vera, you know, it is incredible. You remember, I was so horrified of the negative comments, and I have not seen any bad comments. Can we wrap it up before they start? Please? I'm so grateful to you and to everyone who has been here with us today. And the miracles do exist. Even if it's for the fact that we were able to create a safe space where during an hour and 20 minutes there was no single aggressive or angry comment. Despite the fact that nowadays it's impossible to find a space like that, no matter the topic or a side that people are supporting. It is impossible to find a space free of anger and agitation. It is a miracle, and it means the miracle is possible everywhere in the world. Thank you, Vera. I'm sending you, Irena, my moral support, and I want to support all women, every woman. And I have to say, there is no single woman out there who doesn't feel anything. A woman's core is so much in tune with the nature and life that there is no woman out there that doesn't feel things. She might think she doesn't feel enough. It might seem to her that she is calm, but she is so connected internally with the nature that she feels everything. And I would like to conclude by saying, however horrible and scary it might be right now, let's remember that we're witnessing a birth of a miracle, and we can affect and influence by our state of being. I have a strong love for women, and I love you, Irena, very much. Thank you for your courage. Thank you.